अरिहंत सिद्ध सुर 1 minute. अरिहंत सिद्ध सुर उपाध्याय साधु सर्व अर्थ के प्रकाशी मांगलिक उपकारी है। तीन को स्वरूप जानी रागते भई जो भक्ति काय को नमाए स्तुति को उच्चारी है। धन्य धन्य तुम से काज सब आज भयो कर जोरी बारंबार वंदना हमारी है। मंगल कल्याण सुख ऐसो हम चाहते हो मेरी ऐसी दशा जैसी तुम धारी है। हो मेरी ऐसी दशा जैसी तुम धारी है। समाधि मरण, डेथ इन इक्वानिमिटी. Another practical meaning of Samadhi Maran would be conscious departure of the soul from this life. Okay. So we had discussed most of the things in the last lecture. Today we will be concluding this topic, and the discussion that is going to follow is more or less the repetition of what we have already discussed. Okay. Only thing is that there will be a practical form of this death in equanimity that will be discussed, the process, the whole process. Okay. So we were on to page number 13 in English. I'll make you a co-host. I made you a co-host. It's page number 13 according to English. So far we have discussed that the death in equanimity is not actually death. It is living the life in equanimity, right? It has got more weightage than the death itself. So those who have lived life in the form of equanimity, detachment, peace, serenity, automatically their death would be peaceful only. Okay. It is just like they are changing their clothes. And it is not that every time there is a death, you will have some pain or something like that. I have seen many a death, they died peacefully. Okay. So it all depends on our past karmas. But having said that, the efforts that you put in throughout your life is only going to determine what kind of death you are having. Irrespective of the last moment, whether you are in ICU or in deep pain, doesn't matter. But your death would be considered a peaceful if you have lived a life very peaceful, practicing discriminative knowledge, experiencing eternal bliss, then of course your death would be peaceful. So this is basically, we are talking of a lay person who is in the 5th stage, who has taken the minor vows, who has observed the 12 vrata, 12 vows, okay, and then he is eligible to take this Sallekna. So basically it's around the 5th spiritual stage where the proper Sallekna would be undertaken. But having said that, even every seeker has this feeling to have a peaceful death because their life is such, right? So irrespective of whether you have manifested right belief or not, you have every reason to have a peaceful death, and that with practice is quite possible. Okay. So we'll continue from there. The feeling of ownership towards the non-self is the root of endless sorrow. There we finished last week. So we will start from the present associations. Okay. Pratibhaji, you read.
Okay. The present association have come to us due to the rise of our own punya and pap, and so too will the association of the next life appear based on the rise of merit and sin. So what really is the difference between the current and future association? Just this much, that the current association are visible and the future ones have not yet appeared before us. But for the realized ones, there is never any particular attachment to associations anyway. Whatever associations come forth naturally at whatever time and in wherever way, it is accepted with detached equanimity. It is also indeed the natural disposition of jivas that wherever and whatever kind of associations they arrive, there become absorbed. For the Gyanis, however, the entire state of affairs is as utterly clear as a gooseberry placed on the palm. Firstly, the nature of association is clear to them, and secondly, there is no relish in them. Therefore, whatever, wherever, and however things happen in the world, let them happen. They have no mental preoccupation about them. Hence, just as this existence is, so too will be the next existence. What difference does it make? When the intrinsic disposition towards existence itself is non existing, then in which existent what is? How does it matter? To them, death is simply an ordinary transformation with nothing worth knowing. Just like a person who sees no difference between a boy and a girl. Why would such a person he be interested in whether the child in the womb is son or a daughter? Whichever it is, it's perfectly fine. Similarly, for one who has no choice regarding the next birth, what interest could there be in knowing where one is going to be born? Wherever I may go, wherever I may proceed, what difference does it make, whether in this or in that, even in one or two births, earlier or later? What difference does it make? For now, the realized soul are not to remain in sansar for all eternity. Once a brother asked me, "Where will you go?" As I did not quite grasp his meaning, he clarified, "In the next birth." I simply said very naturally, "I have no interest in one or two future births. Wherever I go, I will go. I have no preference. The truth is that I have no relish in any existence, neither existence nor the disposition of existence is worthy of having attachment. Is there any realm of existence in this world that is worth dwelling in? No. Then the matter is settled. This discussion is discussion about existence, not about the freedom of vow. I have no interest in the discussion of existence. The desire for any particular existence is called Nidan. Nidan is counted among the 5 transgressions of Salekna. I have no interest in any particular association. One thing is certain. I have no interest in association at all, and in any particular association, not in the least. I have relish only in myself, in the association less tattva, and that Ashyam Yogi tattva is none other than myself. The more relish is directed towards Sanyam,
Sanyogs. Sanyog is
Sanyog,
association and asanyogi is without association.
okay. Sanyog, thanks. The less relish will remain in my own Lord Atma. People keep asking again and again, as long as you are in Sansar, where would you prefer to stay? But, brother, I have no wish to remain in the world at all, about the very place where I do not intend to stay. You are asking me, where would you like to stay there? Compelled by necessity, as per Mahatma Gandhi's saying, wherever one must remain out of compulsion, one will remain there. Where then is a question of preference? I wish to remain only in myself, solely in myself, and I am, in fact, already in myself. So, what more residing is needed? As for external association, wherever I am destined to be, by the sequence, bounded modification, and the rise of past karma, I shall naturally reside there. It is not in my nature to scrutinize or complain over that. We are neither here to ruin the worldly existence nor to maintain it. When we have no interest or relish in it, then why bother making or breaking it? Existence is just existence. So, what is there to build or destroy in it? To distinguish between good and bad within this worldly state is not wise, because when no state of existence is truly good, then wasting time and energy in choosing between better or worse is futile. Now that I have adopted the state of equanimity, now that I have entered into inward stillness, what is the point of deliberating over good or bad in existence anymore? Oh, brother, when we have set out to be free from worldly existence, then why should we get entangled in making choices within it? We have already chosen our true self. Then what remains to be chosen from the non self? Many people say we will attain liberation together with our Guru. Oh dear, the notion of going together is not the path to liberation. The path to liberation is the feeling of oneness with self and the awareness of being separate from the non self. If by the power of his own merit the Guru becomes a celestial being with a lifespan lasting for ocean measured time spans, then are you also prepared to stay in this cycle of birth and death for such vast time, just because you wish to attain liberation with him? I am not willing to wait that long. Does that mean you are unwilling to even go to the highest heavens? Yes, it is absolutely clear. I am not willing to remain in the world for an ocean measured time span, nor do we have any intention to do so. What will you do if, after peaceful death, you are reborn in a high celestial realm? As long as we have to remain in the cycle of existence, I shall live accordingly, in the alignment with the sequence bound modification. But one thing is certain, I absolutely do not harbor of intention of remaining in sansar for countless ocean measured time spans. Even Lord Adinath and Bharat Chakravarti had remained in the Sarvasid, Sarvasta Siddhi heaven for 33 sagas. In their previous birth, yes, they did. But even they did not have the intention to stay in sansar for so many sagas. Dharma is not in emotional sentimentality, but is in discernment. And according to discernment, it is quite clear that no realized being ever wishes to remain in sansar for sagas of time. If I have to stay, then I shall indeed remain, but my intention is not that. I have heard even great enlightened beings say that they will attain liberation along with their revered Guru. Yes, perhaps you have heard that, but it must have been said in the moment of emotional sentiment. Such words should be taken as conventional expressions. Many people wish to attain liberation along with their entire family or clan. For then I had once written, take your wealth, your beloved, your very life, but you shall never reach liberation unless you begin to walk alone. You shall remain right where you are. The path of liberation is path of solitude. What place does companionship have in it? The feeling of going together is rooted in attachment, and Jain philosophy is grounded in the ideal of detached disposition. You must already be aware that among monks who live in the community, those who wander alone are regarded as more elevated. It is only on the basis of true spiritual grounding that a monk is granted permission to live as a solitary wanderer. Primarily, only those monks who are going to attain liberation in the same birth are considered fit to undertake solitary practice. Emotional agitation is not samadhi, rather, the deliberate and insightful cultivation of detached disposition is true samadhi. To be internally composed without restlessness at the inevitable moment of death, and to be peacefully prepared for the transition of the body with equanimity. This is samadhi, and the death that occurs in this state of inner stillness is called samadhi maran. There is natural ease in samadhi maran. There is neither an intense desire to keep living nor a craving to die quickly. Both life and death are approached with natural equanimity. There are no obsessive thoughts about the current life, nor any anxious speculation about the next. The associations that are meant to be left behind depart naturally in their time. Those that are destined to come arrive as and when they will. We are merely serene knowers and seers of all such transition and shall remain so. This detached disposition is what constitutes true samadhi maran. It is salekna. This occasion of transformation of body is neither a cause for grief nor for joy. It is simply one inevitable, yet natural event in the flow of life that happens at its speculated time. To accept it with simplicity is true wisdom.
Stop. So you see, with all the descriptions that we have seen today also and last week also, basically Samadhi Maran is not a Maran. It is an insightful cultivation of detached disposition. Okay. Vitrag bhav, passionlessness. So that we have to practice in and out every day. Okay. So that is what is our target. And hopefully the death will also be peaceful as a result of that. Okay. And the question of where I will go and how much long I will take to get liberated, all these questions are irrelevant in the sense when you are considering yourself as a pure soul, then how does it matter whether you stay for long or you don't stay for long, which state of existence you enter, doesn't matter. As long as you know that you are a pure soul, all these questions become irrelevant. All these questions are related to the present body that we have uh, acquired, okay? And that body I am not. So all this question does not pertain to me. Straightway we can all delete all these questions if we believe ourselves to be a pure soul. And based on that only the peaceful death in equanimity will happen. Okay. There is no other way. So although it's good that the discussion has come about Samadhi Maran, but everywhere we see that we find that it is not about the death, it is about how we live the life. So that is what we should take from, that should be the takeaway from this discussion. And now, if any questions we can take up, otherwise the next is the practical form of Salekna. What are the steps in between? Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you, so I think the fear is not about, what will happen in the next birth. The fear is that, whether, like, it has changed, I think. Earlier, I used to, like, I had once mentioned in a class that, after finishing the night shift, I would kind of come and watch, stray dogs barking, the night scene of life, like laborers returning home, drunk. I think the fear now is that in the next birth, whether we'll continue as a human or no, whether we'll have, I mean, has right belief already set in or not set in is the biggest question I have. How do I test myself? Whether I have that right belief which will get carried forward to the next birth or not get carried forward.
So what is your name? You will say Himali, right? Now, what is your name is the answer that only you can give, right? If you are in a big crowd and somebody asks you what is your name, so nobody else can answer that, no? That you have to answer that I am Himali. So similarly, what you believe yourself, right? You believe yourself to be a pure soul or a Himali. That question you have to answer, right? And even if you believe yourself to be a Himali, if you believe yourself to be a content creator, if you believe yourself to a mother of children, doesn't matter. You remain pure soul at the core, right? Even when we are one sensed being, we were pure soul. Now also, we are pure soul. And even if we get liberated tomorrow, we will remain a pure soul. So that is what it matters. So the sooner you decide who you are is going to define whether you are a right believer. And once you have aligned with that I am a pure soul, this question whether I have manifested right belief or not will not be there, because that question itself answers who you are. So what you believe, that you are. If you believe yourself to be a pure soul, you are a pure soul. If you believe yourself to be a body, you are pure body, according to you. But as a matter of fact, according to the nature of reality, each soul is a supreme soul. प्रत्येक आत्मा परमात्मा है. Each soul has infinite powers. It is not that Mahavir Bhagwan had some extra powers in him. No. So much power that we have, that much power a Nigodhya Jeev has, and that much power a liberated soul has. The soul does not change at all. Its inherent qualities, its inherent power remains the same, whether they are existing in the universe or they have got liberated. Doesn't matter, right? So your answer would come back again from you only, that how do you position yourself, right? You may position yourself that I am a content creator. You may position that I am a mother of 3 children. You may position that I am a wife of such and such. You may position that I am daughter of such and such, right? So it is how you answer that is going to define you are. Irrespective of whatever you answer, these are all conventional things. At the core, you are pure soul, whether you believe it or not believe it, whether you believe it tomorrow or in the next birth. You remain a pure soul. So why not accept in the first place? Jia, shortcut or not? Why not accept? The nature of reality says that we are all pure soul. We are all possessing infinite powers. So accept. The moment you accept, you become a owner. And if you don't accept, then you keep on suffering, right? So the tilt is very little, who you are, that you have to answer, right? So as you it's not condition, it's a kind of conditioning of mind, right? From the birth only, Himali, 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 this has hammered on us. How do you come to know about Himali? Because your parents were telling you Himali, your relatives were telling you Himali, so you believe that I am Himali. Otherwise, there was nothing else that came into your mind that I am Himali. Just this constant hammering, right? So similarly, if you keep on studying Jinwani every day and the constant hammering that I am pure soul, pure soul, pure soul, pure soul, will take you to such a position where, irrespective of what is being said, irrespective of what the rise of karma is, in all situations you will believe yourself to be a pure soul. So this is a natural transformation that is going to happen, and that all depends on the hours of studies that you put in. Now, supposing half an hour a day you study this Jinvani, and then 23.5 hours you spend understanding that I am a mother, I am a content creator, I am a job, I am this, I am that, then which will weigh upon. So that is why it is said that you take out retirement, whatever you are doing, spend time with Jinvani. No association is going to come with us. The moment we leave our body, any of the associations are not going to come with us. So then it propels us to think, right, that what am I doing? What is my role? How do I get rid of this cycle of birth and death, birth and death? So if you think on those lines, you will find the answer that, okay, there are some responsibilities at my level, which are my past commitments. But apart from that, I don't want to make any other new commitments. Whatever time I have, I will spend with Jinvani, right? And with this kind of understanding and aspirations, automatically things will unfold according to your wishes in the long run. Okay, it may take some time, but at the end of the day, all our desires to get liberated will always be fruitful. The desire to wander in this four states of existence is not going to be fruitful. It will take us to the deep ocean of worldly existence. But any act, any decision, any thought regarding considering ourselves as a pure soul and getting liberated, ultimately, that will always bring fruitful results in the long run. It may take some time. Now, 2.5 years ago, you were not knowing anything about the soul. You considered yourself a body. But now, after 2.5 years, so much of hammering, so much of assignments, something is coming to your mind that, oh, this is a dual life that I'm living. In reality, I am this and I'm behaving like this. So that duality will exist for some time. The more efforts you put in, the more easiness we will have, naturality, that I am a pure soul in all situations. Irrespective of what is happening, irrespective of what I am doing, I don't do anything, I just remain a knower. That is the core. So you connect to this concept today, tomorrow, next birth, whenever. This thing will happen before you get into the path of liberation. Okay. So it is better that right now we have got all the good associations. So let's put in some effort. And if you are putting effort in the right direction according to the right instructions as given in Jinvani, definitely your confidence is going to increase. You will never have this doubt whether I have manifested right belief or not. Irrespective if the right belief happens or not, I am pure soul. There is no doubt in that. Now, who is going to stop you with this kind of understanding? Nobody can stop. It is all internalization of our thoughts, right? So everything is in our hand, the effort's in our hand, and that effort is only going to elevate us and take us further into the path of liberation. So you have to analyze whatever thoughts you have, whatever kind of questions you have, and then of course with little bit of thinking you will find answers for yourself, right? And everywhere in Jinvani it's being said the same thing. It is not nothing else. Today we are studying Samadhi Bharan. So there also the takeaway is that you are a pure soul, you believe it, you live a life of a pure soul, and peaceful death will happen. So everything else is a fallout of what we are doing in the terms of efforts, right? So we do efforts consciously, and whatever will happen will be the eligibility of the moment. Okay. And eligibility of the moment of 3 times, past, present, and future, is all predetermined. It is going to unfold in that way. Now, where you need to put in effort is something that you have to discover, and you have to work in that direction. That's all. Anyone else? Any questions?
So is Samadhi Maran the same as Sanlekhna?
Yeah, same.
Both are the
Same
same.
thing.
Okay.
Same. Okay. So now we move on to the next topic, the practical form of Sanlekhna. So what would be the procedure, you know?
So
We
I
have
just wanted to
understood
ask, in the
Ah.
physical book, which page are we on?
17th page. Page numbers are
Okay.
not marked, but I have marked it myself. You have to also
Okay.
mark it. Beginning with the first page from where the topic started, that is the first page. I'll give you the heading of that so you can connect to that. Yes. Samadhi Maran in bold letters, death in equanimity in the light of the Agam. That is page number 1. So you khali put page number on alternate pages 1, 3, 5, 7 and you will come to page
I'm
number.
confused. It's this book. No?
Yeah, latest I sent through courier.
Yeah. So which page on it? Like down?
You have to
So-
put the page numbers in the first topic because page numbers are not there. So you have to
Okay.
put in the page numbers. You start from the first page and go on to the page number 17. You will find it. The practical form of,
It begins after the publisher's note.
yes. Good.
Because even
Book,
it
no?
took
Like
me
it
some
has this
time for me also.
image.
Yeah, you start with all those, no? Those
This is page 1. You have
leaves.
to mark the pages.
But it
Hmm.
already has numbers down. So which number is it?
No, it's not
No,
there.
it's before
Starting,
that. It's
uh,
before the
starting,
numbered
starting the
pages.
page numbers are not there.
Okay.
It's before the numbered pages. Yeah. Even it
First,
took me also quite some time to find out. So I thought the book started from that page number,
Hmm.
and that is Naya Chakra. Basically, that is Naya Chakra.
That is Nai
Okay,
Chakra, right?
okay.
This is
After
Samadhi Maran.
publisher's note, that's the first page.
That's the first.
Yeah,
one.
that's
Okay.
first.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And
sorry.
from there on 17th page, you sort out.
17.
Last week also I mentioned that you put the page numbers because it's not there. So, okay. So now, Hemali, you read.
Sir, can you hear me clearly?
Yeah.
Okay. The practical
Excuse me,
form of
there is some disturbance. Is everyone getting that disturbance?
Let
After
me
you
see.
started your screen, Himali?
Yeah.
Yeah.
One second.
There is.
Yes. Now it became all right for a few seconds. Now it's not there.
Okay.
Again it has started. Again stop.
Is this better?
Yeah.
Okay.
What about you, Malti ji?
You
Is it
use
okay?
hand-free, that is the best. It will filter the voice.
I think I'll ignore that noise and I'll carry.
Acha.
The
Because in the
practical
previous
form of
video
Sanlekhna.
also.
Sorry.
Okay.
It looks
May I
like there
say
is a background voice of some drilling or something. Is it happening around your place?
No. Drilling? No, it's very quiet.
Fan, it's fan. I think it's fan.
No, there's no fan also. I don't have a fan here.
Okay. ठीक है, Malti ji, you read. You mute yourself. Hemali.
Okay, so the practical form of Sanlekhna. After considering the nature of Samadhi Maran and Sanlekhna, let us now reflect on the practical form of Sanlekhna. In the Ratnakaran Shravakachar, Acharya Samantpad writes, giving up food, one should gradually increase the intake of nourishing, smooth, snigd buttermilk. After giving up the buttermilk, one should increase the intake of hot water. Finally, having given up hot water as well, one should, according to one's capacity, undertake 1 or 2 fasts, and while remembering the Panch Namaskar mantra and so forth, carefully renounce the body. I went to Acharya Sri Vidyanandji Maharaj. I presented him with a book and said, Maharaj, I too am preparing for Sanlekhna. Immediately he said, do not give up water. Do not be in a hurry to give up water. To support his point, he cited the Vijayadaya commentary on the Bhagavati Aradhana, saying it is written in the commentary, read it carefully. The guidance found in the Agams for ordinary practitioners of Sanlekhna regarding the giving up of food, water, and the like is as follows. For incapable Shravaks, the general procedure of Bhakti Pratyakyan, retaining only a single garment and renouncing all remaining possessions,
So
parigrah.
what does the word Pratyakhan means? Bhakt means bhojan. So bhojan and water, both. Food and water. Renunciation of food and water is bhakta pratyakyan. Okay, continue.
Retaining only a single garment and renouncing all remaining possessions, parigrah, residing either in one's own home or in a jinale, the householder, that is the shravak, having properly introspected through mind, speech, and body in the presence of a guru, and abstaining from the three types of food, namely solid food, khadya, liquid delicacies, swadya, and linctus, lay, except for water alone, performs this observance. This is called the fourth educational vow, Siksha Vrat, named Sanlekhna, voluntarily holy death through austerity, as explained in the Upashakhya Sutra. Upsakha Sutra. Due to illness or other such reasons, in order to attain samadhi, serene spiritual absorption at the end, the practitioner should, either on the instructions of a guru or based on his own discretion, vow to take only water. But when the body becomes extremely weak and death is near, he should renounce even that water. If a practitioner suffers from pith related ailment, or if it is the summer season, or he is in a desert region, or he has a pith dominated constitution, or there is any similar reason for which he cannot endure the onslaught of the affliction of thirst, then he should adopt the resolve, I shall make use of water, by accepting such a pratyakyan, qualified renunciation, for without that, his samadhi, peaceful spiritual absorption, would not be possible. When his bodily strength has become extremely feeble and death is near, the practitioner, sadhaka, should renounce even water, jal. Bhakt Pratyakyan method in the presence of doubt or certainty of impending death. In a situation where there is uncertainty about whether one will survive, the practitioner should resolve, if in this land and time I have the possibility to live, then this renunciation, Pratyakyan, shall remain valid only until the affliction, upsarg, lasts. If the affliction passes and I survive, I shall then undertake parna, consumption of food. But if it becomes certain that I cannot survive this condition, then I renounce, Pratyakyan, all food except water. I also renounce all external and internal possessions and abstain from all sinful activities of mind, speech, and body. Whatever possessions are without me, whatever possessions are within me or outside of me, as well as all four types of food, ahar, and even this body, I renounce them for the rest of my life. This is considered the highest form of renunciation. Uttamarth Tyag. If a competent guru, Niryapak Muni, guide who assesses the vow, or an expert in this matter is available, then all decisions should be made at the appropriate time under their guidance or on the basis of one's own study. It is essential to take special care that one's parinam, mental state, remains pure until the end, wholly pure without becoming agitated. Sanklesh. One should not be in such haste in the renunciation of water and the like that as a result one's parinam, mental peace, mental state becomes disturbed. For once the mental state, parinams are disturbed, the vow, pratigya, is indeed broken. Even if by maintaining strictness, no distortion occurs in the bodily functions, kaya kriya, what is preserved of the atma if the mental state, parinam, have nonetheless become disturbed. Due to being engrossed in thoughts about water, that merchant's vow was broken, even though he did not drink the water. If one were to believe that the vow has not broken, then why did that merchant become a frog in the stepwell? Why did he go to the Tiryansh Gati? One must never forget that safeguarding one's mental disposition, parinam, is more important than safeguarding the physical act, kriya. The best situation is for both physical effort, kriya, and mental disposition, parinam, to remain proper. But if in a slight relaxation of physical effort, the mental dispositions remain pure and free from being agitated, sanklesh, then understand that we have saved much. If in the pursuit of perfect physical effort, the mental dispositions have become distorted or disturbed, then we will lose everything. The point is that if after giving up water, one drinks it, and thereby the mental dispositions remain pure and free from agitation, then it is nothing but gain. In the final moment, one has to give up everything, but one should avoid rushing in the renunciation of water and the like. This is precisely the guidance given by revered acharyas. In the Gomatshar Karmakand, the Siddhant Chakravarti Acharya Sri Nemichand while stating the duration, Kal Pariman of Bhakt Pratyakyan Sanlekhana writes, Bhakt means food and Pratyakyan means renunciation. Having undertaken the vow of Bhakt Pratyakyan, the Samnyasa Maran Sanlekhana happens, whose minimum duration is only an Antarmuhurat and whose maximum duration is 12 years. Between these two extremes, all the intermediate durations from Antarmuhurat up to 12 years should be understood as the various forms of the medium duration of Sanlekhana. Pandit Sadasukh Dasji, the learned commentator on the Ratnakran Shravakachar, was a truly self-motivated scholar of exceedingly pure dispositions, parinams. While reflecting on the nature of Sanlekhana, he distinguishes two types of Sanlekhana. Kaya Sanlekhana, austerity pertaining to the body. Kashaya Sanlekhana, austerity pertaining to the passions.
Top. So you see, this both we have discussed in the definition of Samadhi Maran only. This Kai Klesh, Kai Crush and Kashai Crush. So Kashai is first one, then only the Kai comes, but here it is written in a different order. So basically peaceful death, death in equanimity is a death where you are progressively reducing the passions or weakening the passions as well as the body. First, the passion is important because passion is happening at the soul level. Weakening of the body is a matter substance. Okay. So that comes secondary. Primary is it is the weakening of the passions. So how do you weaken these passions? By practicing discriminative knowledge. Right. Now, some of the good findings that we can see from this passage is that the previous page, 1 minute, where it is. Yes, this one. It is essential to take care that one's parinams, mental states, find it, page number, it is 18, after verse number 144, right? After one paragraph to that, it is essential to take special care that one's parinams, what is this parinams? Dispositions, the sentiments, okay? The mental states remain pure until the end, wholly pure without becoming agitated. Becoming agitated is a kind of suffering, sanklesh, you know. So if your mental states remain pure, that means you are in happy state all the time. And this is what we are practicing every day, right? So this is not something new that we are studying here. This is a natural, we can say natural object of a seeker, that to be remain in happiness all the state. That's why we are studying, you know. Why do you do a doctory? Because you want to cure the diseases. So in doctory you are taught that if this happens you have to do this. There's a protocol in place, you know, for each and every kind of diseases. There is a protocol available in the medical science which you study and then you recommend. And because it is already researched, so the patient gets okay most of the time, right? Not all the time, but most of the time. So it has come as a practice that if you are suffering from some disease, you go to a doctor, he will prescribe you according to what he had studied in the protocol, and you take those medicines and you will be okay. Based on this theory, the treatments are done. So similarly here also, Acharyas are recommending us that every moment is there to enjoy, right? Every moment you should enjoy, because the pure soul is a mass of infinite attributes like happiness, peace, serenity, detachment, you know, all these manifestations are a result when you take shelter in the soul. So when you take shelter of the soul, whatever you manifest is Sukh, Santi, Anand, happiness, bliss, peace. This is all we manifest, right? So this is going to come as a natural as you study more and more, as you become firm in your belief that, oh no, I am a mass of infinite attributes and from me only the happiness comes out and there is no happiness in any of the sensual pleasures, then naturally your active consciousness tries to get inwards towards the pure soul. Okay, and this is a natural transformation happening all the time for a seeker. Every day we study something, we learn something, we understand something, our delusion is getting reduced gradually. And a time will come when that delusion will get suppressed or destroyed from our existence. Okay, that is the time you manifest right belief. But before right belief also, through the scriptures, we have studied the same thing, right? So it's a general transformation that is happening each and every day. We study and we learn new things. Our belief gets better and better. We are getting towards the right belief. So it's a natural progression that is happening. It's not you throw a bomb and delusion goes away. It's not like that. So as you study, your belief keeps on changing, your firmness comes in it, whatever you know, if you read it again and again, the firmness comes in, and then it becomes a natural kind of phenomena for you. There is nothing. So the one who lives a life like this, where he is trying to manifest happiness in every situation based on the principles that he had understood. So for him, nothing is impossible and there is something that he desires to get done, because he knows that whatever is predestined, that is going to unfold. There is nobody who can change that sequence. So he's so relaxed mentally that come what may, I am happy all the way. This is the attitude in life that you have to develop. And by studying again and again, automatically this comes natural to all of seekers. It's not something rocket science that nobody can achieve that. It's something that is going to come. If you study with a purpose, if you study for your own spiritual upliftment, these things will naturally flow in, and there is nothing difficult in that. Okay, only thing is that you should have a intent to get to that, so this will automatically come. So now comes the main line. It is essential to take special care that one parinam's mental state remain pure until the end, wholly pure without becoming agitated. So without becoming agitated is from the negative side. From the positive side, you remain happy in all space. Now, how you are going to remain happy is by applying the principles that you have learned. Just now we were discussing the sequentially bound modification. Then there are many other tools that we have studied. You apply any of the tools and you will be in happy space. There is no suffering as such. Suffering only happens when we are not able to connect to the studies that we have done. We forgot that. We forgot that we are a pure soul, just because we have not done enough of homework. So the more you study, the more all these belief will come naturally to you. Okay. One should not be in such haste in the renunciation of water and the like, that as a result, one's parinams, mental state become disturbed. Now this is very important. If you are in happy space all the time, irrespective whether you know nothing about the scriptures, still you have achieved much. We see many people who are not Jains even. They live a so peaceful life because they are so good conditioned that come what may, they have so positive in their life that they know that this time will also go. I am talking about those people who are not Jain, they have not studied the scriptures also. You will find across in your real life also. So we have got the technology. So it's not difficult to practice this. Just applying few principles. This happiness course, I have only selected 12 topics. And by understanding 12 topics, people are seeing transformation in their life. those who have never got access to this kind of scriptures. They are also calling me again and again and saying that in such and such situation, I was able to remain calm, just understanding the principles. So, when you achieve something, then you always try to say it to from whom you learn. So they just relate it to me just because they have applied it and they are good. So it is all about understanding and application. There is no other science behind this. Okay. Acharyas also did the same thing. They were like us only. And they also studied this. They also learned this. In those days, there was only, oral instructions being given. There were no scriptures at that point of time. So the memory was so good that once they hear it, they used to remember it. But now we have put it in scriptures. We have got in the form of scriptures. So you have to read it and connect to it. But that's all, So you should be in happy space all the time. That is the only woe. That is the only woe that has to be taken at this stage, right? And everything else will be a fallout of that. One should not be in such haste in the renunciation of water and the like. As a result, one parinam becomes disturbed. For once the mental state are disturbed, the woe is indeed broken. See, clearly they are writing that it is not something, the ritual that we are doing, it is the mental states, your what you can solve, conditioning of mind, how easily you can adapt to things, how easily you can accept things, how easily you can accept the truth, right? It all depends on that, Even if by maintaining strictness, no distortion occurs in the bodily functions, what is preserved of the Atma if the mental states have nonetheless become disturbed? So even if you are doing all the rituals perfectly and your mental states are disturbed, then you have not achieved anything, right? Due to being engrossed in thoughts about water, that merchant, this is a very good story, merchant, he was a Jain and he took Samaik for 48 minutes. And he took Samaik in that form that so long the lamp is lighting, I'll be in equanimity state, diya. In those days, there was no electricity. So it was a diya. And her wife thought that since my husband is doing Samaik, so he kept on pouring ghee into that diya. Whenever the diya was in a state, he would put ghee into that. And because of that, the merchant has taken such a vow that so long the diya will remain, I will be in equanimity state. And he was feeling thirsty at that point of time. So he thought that the moment the diya would go off, I will have water. And that her wife kept on putting ghee into that diya. So that diya never went off, and because of thirst, that merchant died. And he became a frog. In the next birth, he became a frog. But his intentions were good. So when he became a frog, he thought of going to the Samosaran. And the moment he jumped out on the path, there was a king who was riding on an elephant. And that elephant's leg put on that frog died, but he became a celestial being. And because before the king could reach the Samosaran, that celestial being reached the Samosaran. So it is all about the mental state, mental state. Don't get into the trap of taking vows and all. Just be natural. Remain natural. Everything is going to happen in the right time, right manner. This much patience you should develop by studying the scriptures. You should have a belief about the sequentially bound modification, that everything is going to unfold at the right time, right? Don't become agitated in the present. You just manage your present, be happy in the present state, and the future will always be taken care of. This is, other religions also say this. But how you can remain patient in the present? By understanding the doctrines, by understanding the principles, by taking shelter of the soul, you can remain in peaceful state all the time. Without taking shelter of the soul, at least you can minimize the passions, but you cannot remain peaceful. That peacefulness which is being discussed here in Samadhi Maran, that peaceness will come from by taking shelter of the soul. And this is what you are being taught, that whatever you study, one objective is there, that you have to take shelter of the soul. From time immemorial, we have been taking shelter of the external things for our happiness. And there is no happiness in that. So always we have faced failure because there is no happiness there in the first place. Now you understand that happiness lies within me. So you turn inward. You turn your active consciousness inward, get connected to the soul, and the moment it gets connected to the soul, it becomes one with the pure soul and the realization happens. Right? So this much effort you have to put in. Okay? The end result should be happiness in all state. Right? This is my DP. Happiness always, happiness in all ways. The moment I went to a factory maybe 35 years ago when I was not into religion, Tata Steel, not the Tata Steel, it was Indian Iron and Steel Company. I used to stay in Kolkata and I was working, this was my first job, and they sent me to this company, it was a factory. And in factory it was written, safety always, always. So when I connected to this religion, I changed it to happiness always, happiness always. That should be our motto. Okay. So if you make this your life's motto, naturally everything will fall in places. The other day I told you equation x plus y is equal to 100. X is 60, so y is equal to 40. Similarly, the rise of karma is a constant, x, right? We cannot change anything over there. And the ultimate result should be happiness. Now you change in between what you want to change. You understand these principles, you change your mindset, and you will be in a happy space every moment. This is a mental exercise that you have to do. This is the effort that we have to do. And you will be in happy space. You will be in samadhi all the time, not only during death. Even if you die by accident, you still will be in samadhi. Right? There will not be any of the steps mentioned here. First you renounce food, then you take only buttermilk, then you renounce buttermilk, you take hot water, then you renounce hot water also. No steps. Death in equanimity always. Okay. So these are some of the steps. So main thing is that you have to not get disturbed mentally. Now how that is possible? That is possible. Monks, even during times of afflictions, they are so in peaceful equanimity. Why? Because they have practiced. Constant hammering, constant reading. At our level, we read. At the monks' level, they practice practically. Because they have studied so much, then only they became a monk. Right? They were like us, householders initially. And then they studied, they become a master. And then they thought, now is the time to initiate into monkhood. And they become a monk. So monks' primary duty is to meditate. When they are not into meditation, they write scriptures, they give instructions, they go for alms. All these activities are at the 6th stage. At the 7th stage, they are into deep introspective meditation all the time. Okay. So, so now we will be only studying the two divisions that we saw, Kai Sallekna and Kashai Sallekna. Kai is being explained in the first and then Kashai, and then we will close. Okay. So Kai Sallekna.
So there is
Yeah.
this, it's written that the duration of Sanlekna is Antar Murat to 12 years.
Yes.
What is that 12 years तक भी आप छोड़ के रह सकते हैं?
No, like see, you are expecting a death, right? But you don't know how much age is yours, right? So this is a general vow that is taken, because when you are into that state that you know that you are going to die anyways, then how long you can how long it can go? So
Mhm.
maximum it can go 12 years. It's
But when
like
there was this
that.
national debate on Sanlekhna some years
Yeah,
ago,
yeah, I know. That is
the
also
big,
discussion coming up. Why this has happened?
right,
Dr. Bharilji has given reasons that why you are popularizing things so much. It's an individual call. You don't have to mention any. You don't have to spread this like news. It's because it's written. It's a Mrityu Mahotsav. So people thought that this is the festival of enjoyment, music, dancing, and issuing bulletin every day. Today this was, and now there is with this video call, reels. Because of all these, the government also intervened.
true, true. That's what we could understand why the government is intervening when it's an individual cause. But they drew a parallel with euthanasia,
Yeah, yeah.
which is the medical part of it. So it was very bad taste for
Yeah,
a
and why
good.
it has happened, the reasons are given here. Let's study this, and then you will find out everything about it. And nobody talks about living life in equanimity for Samadhi Maran. Everyone talks of the death, but nobody understands the core behind that, the basics behind that. So that only we have to take away. That's it, the only takeaway from this discussion. You have to live a life of samadhi. You have live a life of happiness. You have live a life without mental disturbance. Now, if you are able to change your mindset according by applying the principles, you are in samadhi all the time. Forget all the rituals and everything. Okay. So we will see this physical austerity first, voluntary peaceful death. Okay. So Jia, you try.
So can someone else read because there's disturbance?
Okay. Roshni.
Yes. Physical austerity, voluntary peaceful death, Kai Salekhna. Definition by Pandit Sada Sukdasji. He describes the process of Kai Salekhna as follows. One should assess the remaining lifespan and accordingly begin renouncing bodily and sensory attachments. One should become detached from the pleasures of food and progressively practice Kai Salekhna. While doing so, one reflects deeply. O soul, wandering through the endless cycles of rebirths, samsar paribraman, you have consumed so much food that if one were to gather a single particle of food from each birth, the accumulated mass would equal infinite Mount Merus. If one were to collect just a single drop of food or water from each of one's countless births, the result would fill infinite oceans. Yet, even after consuming so much, you were never satisfied. Now, as disease, old age, etc., evident death approaches, how will a small amount of food or water at this time bring you contentment? From the moment you were born in this very life, Paryai, you have taken food daily. Out of greed for food, you indulged in intense activity, aramb. Due to this very craving, you committed violence, himsa, falsehood, asatya, coveted others' wealth, violated celibacy, abram, and hoarded possessions, parigraha, in excess. You also earned evil karmas through distorted contemplation, durdhyan, and other wrong activities. Out of the greed for food, you became enslaved and submissive. You ignored what was edible or inedible, bhakshya or bhakshya. You paid no regard to day or night, or what was suitable or not. In food or greed, you gave in to anger, krodh, pride, man, deceit, maya, greed, lobh, and even begging, yachna. For the sake of food, you compromised your dignity, you sacrificed your self-respect. You suffered many painful diseases just to satisfy your food desires. You served people of low conduct and lineage. You remained dependent on your wife and children, all for the sake of food. One who is obsessed with food becomes shameless, lacking in any spiritual discipline or ethical thought. He quarrels, argues, and dies in conflict. He endures insults, all for mere sustenance. In the subhuman realms, Tiryanjkati, creatures kill one another and devour each other, all out of food desire. What is the use of saying much? In this paryay, I now have only a short time left. My lifespan is about to end. Therefore, if I do not exert myself in renouncing food by abandoning attachment to taste and the craving of senses of the tongue, then by corrupting my vows, discipline, religion, fame, and next birth, I shall die an evil death and continue to wander in samsara. Thus, one takes firm resolution to give up food that perpetuates dissatisfaction. He at times undertakes upvas, fasting, at times bel, eating once in a day, at times tel, eating once in 2 days, at times 1 meal a day, at times tasteless food, at times scanty food, gradually in sequence according to his capacity and the remaining span of life, reducing food intake and taking only milk and the like. Then, in due order, he renounces milk and other unctuous substances too, taking only buttermilk and warm water and the like. Then, gradually renouncing water and all other intake, undertaking upvas according to one's capacity, immersing the mind in the 5 supreme ones, Panchparmashti, becoming absorbed in righteous meditation, dharma dhyan, and with great effort relinquishing the body. This should be understood as salekhna. This describes the process of kaya salekhna, or body renunciation. Now, someone may raise a question. Isn't renouncing food and intentionally dying in this way a form of self-destruction, atmagat? And isn't atmagat condemned as inappropriate? The answer is as follows. If a person's life conduct is such that he is able to properly observe the life of an ascetic, muni, or a householder, shravak, his major and minor vows, mahavrat and anurvrat, are being upheld well, he regularly engages in scriptural study, swadhyay, meditation, dhyan, charity, dan, virtue, shil, austerity, tap, fasting, upvas. He performs jinn worship, listens to and gives discourses, and observes all 4 types of religious conduct, aradhana, without obstacles. He is not afflicted by fear of famine, severe disease, or memory-destroying old age. He can still practice Daslakshan Dharma, the 10 virtues, and the path of right faith, knowledge, and conduct, Ratnatraya Dharma, with the body. Then such a person is not fit to undertake food renunciation and samadhi maran. If, despite such favorable conditions, one deliberately renounces food and embraces death, he becomes averse to dharma and turns away from the path of renunciation, tyag, vows, vrat, ethical conduct, shil, and self-restraint, sanyam, etc., thus forsaking the rare human birth, such a person is suicidal, atmagat. The command of the jinas is clear. One must earnestly preserve the body that is associated with the pursuit of dharma. If a person abandons this dharma-enabling body by renouncing food, then how can beings in hell or subhuman realms, Tiryanj, whose bodies are bereft of restraint, ever practice vows, austerity, or self-restraint? Only this human body is a qualified vehicle for the practice of the 3 jewels, Ratnatraya. If someone gives up this dharma-supporting human body by renouncing food and water prematurely, what spiritual purpose has been fulfilled? What will be accomplished by discarding this body? If one abandons this body, they will simply acquire another, one that may be devoid of vows and righteous practice. The seed that causes the assumption of innumerable bodies in the karmic karman body, destroy it by renouncing the false belief, mithyatva, lack of self-restraint, asayam, passions, kashai, etc. By renouncing food, etc., only the odaric body of bones and flesh will die. and a new one will be immediately obtained. When the karman body composed of the 8 kinds of karma dies, then you will be freed from birth and death. Therefore, in order to destroy the karmic body by means of this human body, adopt steadfastness in renunciation, vows, and self-discipline, and bring about the welfare of the Atma. When the practice of dharma is no longer possible, then abandoning attachment, one must certainly have no clinging to giving up the perishable body. In the above statement, Pandit Sadhu Sukhdas Ji is giving a very clear directive that as long as the practice of dharma is possible while living in this body and the body is healthy, in no situation is it proper to renounce food, etc., to take salekna. Rather, that would be suicide. Special care should be taken regarding this when giving up food, etc.
So much of emphasis is put on for giving up food, Before, there are so many conditions to it, and the most important condition is the mental disturbance. This is not something that you have to undertake for mental disturbance. This is something that you should do for your happiness, right? So if happiness is very well the first prime motive, then everything is correct. Otherwise, we pick up on rituals, we feel that we are doing some religion. This has been the story since time immemorial. We have done this enough times. We have become monk enough times. But without understanding the nature of the soul, pure soul, we have not achieved anything in the path of liberation. So primary would be taking the pure soul into consideration, and then everything will fall into places compared to that. Here so much of discussion was about the food, because earlier time there was so much of poverty. People were not having proper food, there was so much of money crisis and all. So food was the main thing at that point of time. But now the food is the least thing that anyone wants now, right? Everyone is after, luxuries, comforts. These have taken over more than the food, because whatever you need for food, that mostly everyone have now, because of there is so much of prosperity around in the economy world over, so much of technology, so much of resources. So that is not the problem. Poverty is not the problem right now. Right now the problem is something different, the technology, the social media, and people commit suicide and people kill each other, and so many problems have come up, not just for the food, but it is something beyond food now. But here the description is based on the food, because in those days food was the primary requirement, roti, kapda or makan. So food was the primary, because without food you cannot survive. So giving up food was a very great act of renunciation in those days. So here Acharya is saying that if you give up food without proper evaluation of your condition, then what will happen? You will leave this body, then you will get another body, because food is through foods only the body gets developed and body sustains. So if you give up food, the body will get separate, but you will acquire another body. So the main technology was practicing discriminative knowledge. All this, if you have not learned, and if you are only giving up food for the sake of samadhi maran, then it is not correct. Okay, and this is again a fault in the path of liberation, because here you are having sanyam in this human life. But if you leave this body, then whatever life you get it, you will not have sanyam over there. Whether it is a celestial being, you become a celestial being, or you become a Tiryanch, Sanyam is not there. So it is not perfect to renounce food without considering the other factors that are a part of the peaceful death. Okay, so that is being explained, highlighted here when we are talking Sallekna from the viewpoint of body. Okay, now we will see Sallekna from the viewpoint of passions. Okay, So first passion has to be crushed. And if the passion gets crushed, then it is Sanlekhna. Otherwise, if the passions gets intense, then it is not a Sanlekhna. Okay. So lot of responsibility on our part who is going to undertake this Sanlekhna. Okay. It is not that easy, another emotional call and you take Sanlekhna. No. You have to think so many factors before getting into Sanlekhna. The main factor would be the eradication of passions. How do you eradicate passions? By practicing discriminative knowledge. What is practicing discriminative knowledge? Understanding the pure soul and the rest, that is non-soul elements, as two different entities, and then taking shelter in the soul is the practice of discriminative knowledge. So discriminative knowledge, practice of discriminative knowledge at three levels. First level is you do the studies of scriptures and you understand according to the scriptures that soul is different and the body is different, soul is different and the passions are different. This way according to the scriptures. Then the next level is Abhyas Rup Ved Vigyan, where you literally practice trying to applying the principles that you have learned. That is a practicing. And the third one is Parinaman Rup Ved Vigyan, right? That is the actual Bhed Vigyan, that is the actual practice of discriminative knowledge, where your active consciousness gets immersed in the pure soul and the state of self-realization evolves. So that is the actual Bhed Vigyan. So first one is Agam Rup Bhed Vigyan. You are only studying the scriptures and understanding at the mental level that pure soul is different and non-self element is different. Then the Abhyas Rup, where you are practicing, putting it into practice. And then Parinaman Rup Bhed Vigyan. All these three I had discussed in the very first topic of my happiness course, the delusion. So this should be the first, okay, practicing discriminative knowledge. So here also in eradication of passion, we would see that the practice of discriminative knowledge is an important tool if you want to get rid of passions. So when you should practice, when you are about to get death? No, right now. Live a life of happiness right now from this day only. And then naturally the death will also become peaceful. Okay. So study this eradication of passion. The second part of the Samadhi Marana. First part was about the body, now about the passion. But in the starting when we read the definition, it was passion which has to be crushed first and then the body. Body is something not related to the soul, so it comes second. Okay. So now we'll discuss eradication of passions. Madhuji, you read.
Yes.
Hmm.
Eradication of passion, Kaya Sanlekhana. Pandit Sadasukh Das Ji now speaks of Kashai Sanlekhana. After discussing Kaya Sanlekhana, we now speak of Kashai Sanlekhana. Just as through the practice of austerity, the body is emaciated. In the same way, simultaneously attenuating the kashayas such as attachment, rag, aversion, dvesh, and delusion, etc. is Kashay Sallekhana. Without Kashay Sallekhana, Kaya Sallekhana is futile. Emaciation of the body can also occur in the case of false believer, that is Mitajeshri, due to illness, poverty, or subjugation. Kashay Sallekhana means that along with emaciating the body, one also weakens Rag, Dvesh, Mohi, eliminates all desires relating to this world, and the next abundance all mindness, mamta, to other substances such as family and possessions at the time of the body's death, and dies with supreme detachment, param vitragata, along with restraint, that is samyam. Here, it must be particularly understood that only one who has conquered the passions arising from sense objects, Vishai Kashayas, is qualified for Samadhi Marana. Samadhi Maran does not occur for one under the sway of the sense objects or possessed with passions. Exercise. These sense born these sense born passions of the worldly beings are extremely powerful, so powerful that even the most capable, such as Chakravartis, Narayanas, and Balbhadras, have been corrupted and brought under their control. Hence, they are of immense strength. All the sufferings in the world befall those who indulge the sensory pleasures, are proud and greedy. Many beings, even after adopting Diksha, initiation into the Jain ascetic order, are corrupted by the heat of the sensory pleasures and are unable to abandon pride and guilt. From beginningless time, worldly beings, smeared with craving for sensory pleasures and inflamed by passions, forgetting themselves, have been corrupted away from their own true nature. To bring about detached state, vitaragta, by freeing oneself from sensory passions, Vishaya Kasai, the scriptures of Sri Bhagavati Aradhana ji has in detail revealed the nature of sensory passions through the exposition of the supremely skylad Param Nirgrantha Acharya named Sivarya. Those desirous of detached state, Vitarka, should continually study such a scripture which renders the highest benefit. At the time of Samadhi Maran, the scriptures called Bhagavati Aradhana, pouring forth like 1,000 streams of nectar in the form of liberating instruction that brings the welfare of the jiva, is certainly to be taken refuge in. Therefore, finding here the occasion to speak of Aradhana Maran, Samadhi Maran, we shall write, taking a portion of the meaning of Bhagavati Aradhana. It should be especially known that monks, the sadhus, in safeguarding the Ratnatraya Dharma, receive great support from the monastic community headed by the acharyas as well as from Niryapak monks who impart the teaching of religion through scriptural exposition. Likewise, householders should certainly maintain association with senior religious elders, faithful and learned co-religionists. However, the fifth era, Pan, Panchamkal, is extremely difficult. In it, excuse me, in it is easy to encounter companions who are attached to sense objects and are full of kashais. Association is mostly with those who give rise to attachment, aversion, grief, and fear, who increase artgyan and who induce activity in asamaya, asaya. Wife, children, friends, relatives, all are engaged in their own rag, desh, and vishai kashais, making one forget to self. That is happening. All are intent. All are intent only on strengthening their own vishai kashais. The company of those devoted to religion, righteous, benevolent, full of vatsalya, and drenched in the nectar of compassion, comes only with the rise of immensely radiant punya. Even so, through one's own effort, one should bring about the company of the noble and their instruction. The company of uh, irreligious men and women who entangle one in the nets of affection and delusion should be abandoned from afar. If, due to helplessness, some bad associate Kusangi comes, then stop speaking to him and remain silent in accordance with the place obtained as per the rise of one's karma, appropriate to the country and time. Stay there and engage in sleeping, sitting, and eating. Take the supreme refuge of the Jin Shastras. Listen to the teachings of the Jin Siddhantas from the righteous. Do not forget renunciation, self restraint, auspicious meditation, and contemplation. Bhagavad, that is Bhagavad. Since righteous co religionists also wish for the strengthening of their own and others' dharma when residing a glorifying religion, they should not be lazy in dharma udesh and other forms of service. Therapia, such as imparting religion.
Vaiyavritti,
Yes.
Vaiyavritti.
Yes, sir. Forms of service, Vaiyavritti, such as imparting religious instruction to practicing co-religions. He should keep him engaged only in renunciation, vows, self-restraint, auspicious meditation, and noble contemplation bhavanas. If a practitioner, even though possessing knowledge under the intense rise of karmas, becomes unable to endure severe afflictions such as intense illness, hunger, and thirst, and begins to break the vows, utters inappropriate speech, and produce distressed states like weeping and lamentation at the parinam, then a wise co-religionist should neither reapproach him nor speak harsh or cutting words, for he is already suffering from pain, and later hearing words of reproach and disrespect, he may experience mental pain, engage in durdhyan, waver from dharma, act contrarily, and even commit suicide. It is not proper to reapproach the practitioner. The instructor should, with great patience, speak to the practitioner's words filled with affection, sweet words that penetrate the heart, which, upon hearing, make him forget all his suffering. The words should be filled with compassion and the spirit of beneficence.
Stop.
This way.
Stop.
Okay.
So you see, passions are being positioned as the chief cause of sorrow, right? So is it true? What is the chief cause of sorrow? Roshni. Pratibha ji.
Is
Can
it
I say, sir?
Mithyatva?
Roshni.
Mithyatva.
Mithyatva is the chief cause of sorrow. So wherever these descriptions are there, because Mithyatva is not sin. Passions could be sin. That is the problem. So everyone believes that passion is the chief cause of sorrow, but it is not the passions. It is the Mithyatva. First, you have to get to the right belief. The moment you get to the right belief, 99% of the passion goes away. Anantanubandhi Kashai. The rest of the Kashai are termed as one drop in an ocean. Right? So, wherever it's mentioned that passions, you should believe it that it is passions with delusion. Without delusion, passions have no strength. Okay. But since passions is seen and delusion is something that cannot be seen, so the language is in the form of passions. But we have to understand it in the proper way, right? So the one who undertakes a peaceful death is already a right believer. He is in the 5th stage, technically, right? He has already got the 12 vows with him. And then this Sallekha vows come. Okay. So we have to take things in the right perspective. It is not something on the road he is being asked to do a Samadhi Maran. It doesn't happen that way. First, you have to live a life of practicing this discriminative knowledge, be happy in all space, and then you can think of Samadhi Maran. Okay. So it is not just about the Maran that we are talking about, it is the life. So of course, one who is a right believer, he has always in mind that not to manifest passions. Because he knows that if I manifest passions, I will be the one who suffer the most, right? So he tries all his best not to manifest passions. But due to the weakness, the passions do arise at the lower stages, in the 4th stage, 5th stage. These things are very natural. So the instruction has been given to, reduce the passions, right? That should be the way to Samadhi Maran. First, you have to reduce the passion, weaken the passions. How do you weaken the passion? By practicing again discriminative knowledge time and again, time and again, time and again. And at the time of death, you have nothing on your mind. The seeker who is a right believer, he has nothing on his mind at the time of death. He has only one thing, that I want to dwell in my pure soul, come what may. That is his only objective. Similarly, when the monks undergoes through afflictions, they also have this thing in mind. They just don't want to get out of their connection with the pure soul. And that is how they endure afflictions, So, just take the example of Pandavas. 5 Pandavas were meditating, they were monk, and they were inflicted by putting hot ornaments on their head. And 3 Pandavas remain absorbed in their pure soul, and they manifested omniscience and got liberated. And 2 got a thought, auspicious thought, that what would have happened to the elder brothers. And with that thought only, they got a celestial being's life for 33 sagas. Okay. So how do they endure all these afflictions? Just taking shelter of the soul. Okay. So we also have to have one objective right now, starting right now at the householder level. Come what may, we have to practice discriminative knowledge. Okay. That is the only solution. And with that solution, the passions will automatically get reduced progressively. As you become more mature, as you become more smart in practicing discriminative knowledge, passions definitely will get weaker and weaker and weaker. Okay. So understand this, that it is not only passions, it is delusion first. Okay. First you get rid of the delusion. For getting rid of the delusion, you don't need to reduce the passion. You need to practice discriminative knowledge. And based on that, whatever passions are remaining, that also the seeker doesn't want to keep. So he is generally progressively weakening the passions. Okay. Now, Amitaji, you read. In this way, after giving such guidance, Pandit Sada Sukdas Ji. Pandit Sada Sukdas Ji was here around 300 years ago. He wrote a commentary on Ratnakaran Savakachar. Very nice commentary. You should study Ratnakaran Savakachar. Commentary, the scripture is by Saman Bhadra Acharya. Okay. It's a very small scripture, only 150 verses. But the commentary is so huge by Pandit Sada Sukdas Ji. And he was a householder. He was employed at the king's place. And he did a lot of practice of discriminative knowledge. If you study his life story, it's so interesting that we can never imagine a person to be that satisfactory person that his salary was not increased for 40 years. And he never complained. All other salaries were increasing. His was never increased. And one day king came to know about this. And he called him and said, why you are not asking? Well, then, no, whatever you give, it is enough for my sustenance. It is enough for my family. So I don't need. So then king said that, no, you ask how much raise you want. Said, I don't want a raise. If you want to do anything good for me, you reduce my office time. So I will be able to write commentaries and whatever in minds I have. So then king was so generous that he increased his salary to double and also reduced his time to half. And that's how he wrote these commentaries. Such a wonderful person. You must read his life story, So now we are referring to his. In this way, after giving such guidance, Pandit Sada Sukdas Ji.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sir, what is this Bhagavati Aradhana?
Bhagavati Aradhana is a scripture written by Acharya Sivarya. It's all about the monks. This Ratnakaran Savakachar is about the lay person, Shravak.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Pursat Siddhi Upai we have in syllabus. That is also about Shravak, But this Bhagavati Aradhana is exclusively for the monks. Such a huge, big book, 1,200 verses. I have it at my place. Somebody gifted me. And I started reading also. Around 250 verses I had completed. But then I got in between something else. So it has interrupted. But again, I'm going to finish that, So it's all about the monks, how basically the monk's life and monk's discipline. So much insight about the monk's life. Very good. Okay. But right now, Pandit Sada Sukdas ji, who was himself a lay person, and he wrote commentary on Ratnakaran Sravakachar by Samanbhadra Acharya. He has given very good description how to behave in a life of a householder. Very good instructions. Must read. Okay. So this
Sir?
reference we will start with. Yeah.
It's better than Ashtapahud also.
Yeah, Ashtapadi is also about monks. So this is about very close to us. This is about a lay person.
So where can we find the English version?
English version, only the main text is available, but
Okay.
the commentary that I am discussing, it has not been translated so far because it's not in our syllabus. If it would have been our syllabus, we could have translated it, but it's available in Gujarati and Hindi.
It's there in that link, sir. I can access
No,
it.
no, no. It's not that in link. I will separately share you the scripture, and if you want physically, I can order also.
No,
We'll
no,
get
sir.
it.
Soft copy is perfect. I'll start translating it.
Okay, no problem. So Pandit Sada Sukdas ji addresses the one undertaking Salekna. Its important portion is as follows. Amita ji, continue.
In this way, after giving such guidance, Pandit Sadasukdas ji addresses the one undertaking Sanlekana. Its important portion is as follows. O Dharmarthi, now be alert and vigilant. Due to the fruition of past karmas, disease, pain, and severe ailments have been inflicted, hardships due to afflictions have arisen. The body has become weak, and the time of completing this lifespan, Ayu, has come. Therefore, do not become desperate. Dina, renounce cowardice and adopt heroism. Even if you become cowardly and dejected, the fruition of inauspicious karmas, Ashata karma, will not stop. No one is capable of removing your sorrow. No one can remove pain producing karmas, asata, and bestow pleasure producing karmas, sata, not even Indra, Dharnendra, or Jinendra. Cowardice destroys both the worlds, that is, this world and the next, and it leads to aversion toward dharma. Hence, if you endure this suffering with fortitude, dhairya, and without inner turmoil, there will be disassociation, nirjara of past karmas, and no bondage, bandha of new karmas. You are known as a follower of the Jaina's Dharma, and people regard you as a righteous soul and a wise, realized one, Gnani. Among the followers of Dharma, you are reputed. You have undertaken vows, brata, and restraints, sayama, as per your ability. If now, at this critical point, you show weakness or laxity in renunciation and restraint, not only will your own fame and afterlife be ruined, but it will also lead to a great defamation, ninda, or other religious aspirants, and even, of other religious aspirants, and even of dharma itself. Many innocent beings may lose their firmness in the path of liberation, gradually emaciate the body in such a way that the disturbance of vata, pitta, vata wind, pitta bile, and kapha phlegm are subdued, and the purity, vishuddhi of mental disposition, parinama, increases. The Himali, can you please move it up? Thank you, Himali. The procedure for renouncing food, ahar tyag, has already been described earlier. Later, at the final stage, even water should be renounced according to one's remaining strength. At the final moment, as long as strength permits, excuse me, remember the Panch Namaskar mantra and the 12 bhavnas, spiritual reflections. When strength begins to decline, focus solely on the names of the Arhanta and the Siddhas. And when no strength remains at all, let there be presence and support of fellow sadharmis who are devout, compassionate, Vatsalya Angadharak, and skilled in supporting the soul's final concentration, Sthitikaran, who guide one's mind to remain steadily absorbed in the fourfold contemplation, Aradhana, Ratnakar Savakachar, page 465. The Panchanamaskar mantra should be recited in melodious and calm tones with great gentleness and steadiness, in such a way that one practicing Salekna does not experience any mental disturbance or distress in the weakened state of his mind and body. The manner of recitation should be such that the mind becomes absorbed in listening. There should not be crowds or noise due to many people gathering together. Rather, one by one, fellow sadharmis, thank you, Emily, should in turn, religious companions should in turn recite dharma discourses or invoke the names of the Jinendra. Prevent the arrival of many people near the practitioner, especially those who might engage in worldly talk born of affection, attachment, or delusion, mamatva, moha. Apart from discussion centered on the Pancha Namaskar or the Fourfold Refuge, Chatur, Sa- Sharan, or other discourses imbued with Vitrag Bhav, dispassionate perspective, no other topics should be discussed in the immediate presence. Only two or four sincere righteous holders, dharmadharis, should remain close by. There should be no crowd or lay or worldly people. From this instruction, it becomes entirely clear that as long as the sadhak, spiritual aspirant practicing Sanlekna, is capable of spiritual study, adhyatma, contemplation, chintan, reflection, manan, or recitation, part on his own, no one else should intervene or disturb by narrating anything to him. However, when due to weakness he is no longer capable, there only those wise, spiritually mature wise sadharmis who are capable of supporting his concentration, sthitikaran, should gently recite or explain to him, but always in a deeply peaceful and composed manner. There must be no noise, weeping, or worldly chatter near the practitioner. Emotional or sentimental people should avoid staying nearby. Even children should be kept at a distance, and close relatives should not remain near him for an extended periods. The preparation for Sanlekna is nothing but training oneself to be ready for the final transformation of the body. It is to be willingly prepared to joyfully accept separation from all current association, sanyoga, that which is inevitable and destined, which must occur at its appointed time, will certainly occur. It cannot be stopped, nor can it be altered in any way. Whatever is destined to happen will naturally unfold, and whatever is possible is already occurring effortlessly. Excuse me. There is nothing for us to do in this. We simply have to remain natural, sahaj, without holding on to any tension, stress, or anxiety. Hemali, please move up some more. Thank you, Hemali. We must accept the natural transformation of reality, Vastu Swarup, as it is with equanimity, Sahaj Rupa. Maintain the pure state of the knower and the seer, Nata Drashta Bhava, Bhav, without disturbance. The change of body, which we refer to as death, Maran, inherently contains no pain. The suffering sometimes observed at the time of death is often a result of illness, not death itself. If there is no disease, then the life force, prana, may leave the body as gently as during a natural yawn or even during a sneeze. Whatever suffering people associate with death is actually the pain of affliction, of famine, illness, and old age. It is not of death. These you will have to experience in any case. Even if you do not undertake Sanlekna, you will still have to undergo them. There is no connection between them and Sanlekna. There is no need to be afraid of death due to fear of pain. Even when death is not in question, we still take proper treatment for illness. In Sanlekna too, by the word pratikara, counteraction, permission has indeed been given to undertake treatment. We are not to die out of fear of these sufferings, nor to embrace death for its own sake. The matter is simply this, that if death is indeed occurring, then we are to maintain the state of equanimity remaining in the knower seer, Nata Drashta disposition. For us, everything is acceptable. If dying, then dying. If living, then living. We are not to resist any condition, nor to desire any condition. As long as life lasts, we must, for the sake of living, take food, etc. Appropriately, for the sake of dying, we must do nothing. We should not give away food to embrace death. If something naturally drops away or departs, it should be simply be witnessed and known in the natural state of detached awareness, sahaj gnata drashta bhav. Whatever has been foreseen in the omniscient knowledge, Keval Gnan of the Kevali Bhagwan, we must accept that occurrence without resistance, without frowning or flinching. If we are able to maintain this acceptance, then consider that our Salekna has become successful because that itself is the true reality, Vastusthiti, and in it lies our peace and bliss. Some thinkers have called this the great celebration, Mahotsav, a festival of death, Maran Mahotsav. However, this great festival has no noise, no crowds, no dancing, no singing, no cymbals or instruments or festivities, no feasting nor serving of food. There is nothing frivolous about it. There are no disturbances of passion, kashai, no wailing or weeping, and not even a sense of mourning. There is only complete peace, serenity, a mood of detachment, vairagya bhavna. Vairagya bhav, deep seriousness and equanimity, samya bhav. At this point, one might ask, why are you even explaining all this? Everyone knows that this is a serious moment, not one meant for fanfare or frivolity. And yes, your point is valid. But there are still some people who misinterpret the word Mahotsav to mean celebration with fanfare and pomp, and they wish to turn even this sacred event into a spectacle. No matter what the occasion, such people want to dance, sing, and take out processions. Everyone knows that on Deepavali, Lord Mahavir attained Nirvana, a moment of separation from the world. Yet, those who are bent on celebrating with joy, bursting firecrackers, and eating sweets, they will celebrate regardless, burst their firecrackers, and eat their laddus. Who can explain it to them? Thank you, Emily. Samadhi Maran and Sanlekhna are entirely personal matters. To give them a social form, to make a display of them in the name of Prabhavna, to publicize them, these are not appropriate. Inviting journalists, issuing daily health bulletins, surrounding the practitioner in medical instruments, taking interviews, none of this is proper. What is the need of any of these things for those who are preparing to leave this life very soon? You may say that by doing so, religion is glorified. In truth, it is not glorified. Rather, such an atmosphere is created that people begin to say that this is suicide. The government, too, begins to exert pressure. If the court says something, a religious crisis arises for us. Our life is our own. No one should interfere in it. No one ought to. We do something quietly and peacefully. No one says anything to us. But when we try to cash in on some act of undertaking of ours, then thousands of complications arise. To choose death, thank you, Mani. To choose death through Sanglekna is our fundamental right. You may say that living is your birthright, but dying is not. In Sanlekna, we do not make an effort to die. Rather, we make an effort to live right up to the final breath. However, when death becomes inevitable, can we not die peacefully? To live peacefully and to die peacefully is our responsibility, which we discharge with equanimity. We have made this clear many times. That only when death is completely inevitable, when no means of survival remain, should Sanlekha be undertaken. Although it is true that no one has anything to do with our inner actions, it is equally true that our ostentations, ostentations are not acceptable to others. Therefore, avoiding ostentations is our supreme duty. Our humble request to the entire community is that, in the name of Prabhavana, such situations should not be created as would give anyone the opportunity to interfere in our religion. Those who have called it a festival have also encouraged Sanlekhana observants in distress by recounting the crisis and afflictions of Sargas faced by great monks. Thus, there is nothing like a festival there. We have presented Sanlekha in such a way that it appears to be an act involving the great suffering and much pain. But that is absolutely not the case. The line, तो तेरे जीव कौन कष्ट है. Sorry, excuse me. I'm going to read it in Hindi because it's easier for me. Hmm. Hmm. Sorry, I can't find it. तो तेरे जिया कौन कष्ट है मृत्यु महोत्सव भारी. Then what hardship is there for you? Death is a grand festival, has only added fuel to the fire. A frightening picture has been painted. On the basis of those verses, society had paintings made and placed them prominently in temples. The musicians, too, could not be left behind. They set these songs to music and created an atmosphere. Everyone flowed in the same direction, and no one raised the question. Whatever the case, attention must now be paid to this matter. The monks mentioned in that song are only about as many as stated. There are, by comparison, crores more monks who suffer no hardships, because all monks are supremely pure hearted and immensely meritorious. Only in rare cases does a minor rise of pap occur. The same is true for householders who undertake Sanlekhana. No, none of them suffers hardship. In the quotation of Pandit Sukh, Sada Sukhdasi, whoops, sorry, my battery is low, so it's about to close, but I will try. I'll turn my
I'll
video
read, I
off.
will read, no problem.
Thank you, sir.
On the basis of those verses, society had paintings made and placed them prominently in temples. The musicians too could not be left behind. They set these songs to music and created an atmosphere. Everyone flowed in the same direction, no one raised the question. Whatever the case, attention must now be paid to this matter. The monks mentioned in that song are only about as many as stated. Okay, this is I'm repeating. So it's not that many monks undergoes this thing. It's just a few monks who get this kind of things. But it has been so uh, highlighted that people feel that Samadhi Maran is something like this, that only. Okay. But naturally, because these monks are so pure, so punya is there with them that normally they all die very peacefully. Okay. In the quotation from Pandit Sada Sukhdasji, the suffering that are mentioned are not such that everyone will necessarily experience them. If occasionally someone does encounter them, guidance has been given on what to do in that case. If we remain cautious and do not allow Vat, Pith and Kaph. See, Ayurveda also says these three. There are three components. Vat related to gas, Pith, Pith is something, and Kaph. Kaph you know.
Acidity.
Yeah. Pith is acidity, right? So Vat, Pith and Kaph do become aggravated. If this balance is disturbed, then you get a disease. Then there will be no kind of suffering at all. My father, so Dr. Bharilji is talking about his father, who had a pure sattvic disposition, experienced no suffering at the time of death. His intake of food gradually decreased on its own. Solid food ceased to be digested. There was no feeling of pain, certainly no severe pain. He remained alert towards reflection on truth throughout. We had all kinds of examinations conducted, but he had no illness at all. He simply grew progressively emaciated. He simply grew progressively emaciated ceased solid food, continued with liquids, then gradually even the liquids were naturally given up until only water remained. And in the final moments, even that stopped. Until the very end, he remained alert, engaged in discussion of truth, and showed no signs of pain. Just 5 minutes before the end, he experienced a slight unconsciousness, and then the breath left the body naturally. Here a question arises. If such is the case, then why was there discussion of those monks burdened with afflictions? Why was there no mention of the meritorious one who had none? The thought in the writer's mind was that in situations of suffering, these verses would provide courage, but he did not consider that they could also create an atmosphere of fear. Okay, it is like this. After watching the play Satyavadi Harishchandra, the crowd was leaving. A journalist asked a turbaned merchant, "How did you find the play? What did you learn from it?" The merchant, with extreme indifference, replied, "There is no gain in speaking the truth." So this was wrongly interpreted, If you want to end up like King Harishchandra, losing everything and being driven away with humiliation from pillar to post, then you must speak the truth. Okay, so the wrong picture was given. When Bhartendu Harishchandra wrote that play, he could have never imagined that someone might take such a lesson from it. Likewise, when that poet composed those verses, he could never have imagined that they might have the effect of making people fearful of or reluctant to undertake Sallekna. At the time of Sallekna, there should be neither an atmosphere of fear nor of terror, neither of merriment nor of sorrow. There should be an atmosphere of complete calm. And yet, we do not even truly know what complete calm is. An atmosphere of weeping and lamentation is certainly not called calm, nor is an atmosphere of cheerfulness and gaiety. For both of these are forms of passions, not forms of calm, not states of equanimity. There should be complete equanimity, complete peace. Such an atmosphere is what is needed. Oh brother, for those who have oneness with the soul, Atma, is beginningless and endless. What significance can the separation from these external momentary associations have? Thus, the separation from association in the form of death can have no impact upon them. Even if Samyak Drashti Sallekna observants have, in associations, a slight attraction born of delusional conducts, charitra moh, they still know well that if these associations depart in the next birth, they will naturally obtain associations many times better than these. But the fact remains that the realized wise soul have no relish for associations at all. Once a brother asked me, "What is happening?" I said, "I'm preparing for Sallekna." Greatly startled, he said, "What did you say? Preparing for Sallekna? Why? What has happened?" I said, "Nothing." They said, "If nothing is the matter, then why prepare for Sallekna?" I replied that I was writing a book on Sallekna, and thus I was busy with it. People often ask me about my writing, so I assumed he too was asking about that. But he had understood something entirely different. He said, "I was afraid. What has happened that you have started preparing for Sallekna? Is it necessary for something to happen in order to prepare for Sallekna? Can preparation for Sallekna not be done while healthy?"
Sir, may I read?
Yeah. Last page only.
Yes, sir. Oh, brother, Preparation for Salekna is to be done precisely in a healthy state. When facing death, Salekna is undertaken, but when death is imminent, where is the time for preparation? We must make our life full of samadhi. The life of the realized wise one is full of samadhi, and it ought to be so. When life is filled with equanimity and samadhi, then death too will naturally be with samadhi. Humans die, but the soul, Atma, is immortal. Now we must decide, are we humans or are we the soul, Atma? Is our sense of identification with the mortal human modification, Paryay, or with the immortal Atma? This is human modification, Paryay. This human modification, Paryay, is but for a few days. Whether 2 days earlier or 2 days later, in the end, the human modification, Paryay, will surely come to an end. But this soul Atman has existed from beginningless time and will remain for infinite time. Thus, it never ends. This beginningless, endless soul Atman always resides with me, is my very self. Even if from a certain perspective we call this dissimilar class human Paryay our own, it contains infinite, insentient matter, atoms, Pudgal, non-soul substances, and only one soul substance. The point is that in the aggregate form of this dissimilar class human Paryay, my, that is soul's share, is but an infinitesimal fraction. In this dissimilar class human modification, Paryay, death is nothing but the scattering of infinite matter, Pudgalic atoms, and the separation of the soul. In death, what disperses is only the bodily aggregate, Skanda, made of Pudgalic atoms. I remain exactly as I was before. What could possibly happen to me? The true preparation for Samadhi Manan is the contemplation and reflection on the immortality of the blessed soul, Bhagwan Atma, which is my very self. The innumerable Pradesh and the infinite qualities of the soul never scatter. As for the matter of the changing mode, Paryay, change is the very nature of modification, Paryay. If it does not change, it cannot be called a Paryay at all, for change is its very life. Flowing water is called a river. If the water stops flowing, then it is no longer a river, whatever it may be, an ocean, a pond, a lake, a well, or a step well. It is no longer a river. Similarly, if there is no change, it cannot be a modification, Paryay. Whatever else it may be, it will not be a modification, Paryay, because to transform is the very nature of modification, Paryay, and to be changeable is its inherent nature. Therefore, change will certainly occur in modification, Paryay. This human modification, Paryay, too is a mode. Thus, it will inevitably change. Preventing its change is not possible. If a painful modification does not change, how can a pleasurable modification come? If the moksha Paryay is to arrive, then the sansar Paryay must change, it must depart, it must be destroyed. Death itself is merely the change of Paryay. To accept this change with ease of mind is Salekna. Is Samadhi Madan a Santhara, which is
Samadhi Maran is Santhara.
Santhara, which at the end of life is inevitable and utterly essential.
So first paragraph, we must make our life full of samadhi. है ना? Oh brother, preparation for Salekna is to be done precisely in a healthy state. When facing death, Salekna is undertaken, but when death is imminent, where is the time for preparation? We must make our life full of samadhi. The life of the realized wise one is full of samadhi, and it ought to be so. When life is filled with equanimity and samadhi, then death too will naturally be with samadhi. Okay. So this was the essence of the whole discussion. So again, we will come back to our own target or objective of life. that is to be happy in every space. Happiness always, happiness in all ways. Okay. I don't find any better word to live a life than this. Okay. So the moment I will find, I will change my DP. Otherwise, it is that only. So this is a multifold kind of thing, whatever you study in Jinwani, you have to come back to this sentence. Happiness always. If it is not creating happiness in you, then it is not Jinwani, or you have not interpreted it in the right manner. Okay. Jinwani's only target is to manifest vitragata, detachment, passionlessness, and that is only samadhi. Okay. So very nice discussion. Dr. Bharilji has done so much, taken so much of effort to give so many references from different scriptures, and we are so fortunate to read it and understand it. And this is again going to be a cause of detachment for us, and we should realize that we have a fixed tenure here, and we should we should get entangled minimally in any of the other things than Swadhyay. Reduce it as much as possible. Even if you don't connect socially more, it's okay, no problem. They will also not come to your place. If you don't go to somebody's place, they will not come. That is okay. One life for this. Study, study, study. Nothing else. I renounce business. It's not that I don't want from 2-bed to 3-bed. No, everyone likes it. 3-bed to 4-bed, from WagonR to Mercedes, there is no end to it. But I realized that this is what matters for me. So let me explore this. Everything else can take a back seat. So this was my individual call, and my family members also supported me. So I was able to do it. But it has been a very nice experience. I would not recommend anybody to work one day also. If you have enough, leave it. If you have taken up some responsibilities, you complete it and then retire. But one thing is in mind, that you should have this thing in mind, that I want to retire and study full time. Retire and study full time. Okay, nothing else. Okay, so we will also take good points from this discussion and illuminate our life the way it should be, Okay. Any questions? We have crossed the time limit, but still, if it's question, let's do the Mangalacharan and then we will discuss. Okay. निज निधि निज में बताई, यह अनंत उपकार है उसके लिए, जिन वाणी माँ को वंदना सत बार है, उसके लिए जिन वाणी माँ को वंदना